I have been in Montreal coming up on 8 years, and I have never, not once, seen a ever. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. It's been a cool minute. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the things that were like kind of a culture shock for me moving to Canada. I don't know if culture shock is the right term because one, I don't think it's very cultural, maybe a little bit. And two, it wasn't like a shock, it was just kind of like, oh, that's different, as opposed to like when I've traveled to other places, it's very much like a culture shock. These were more just things I was like, huh, interesting. I'm gonna talk about those today. It's very easy as an American to speak about these things and be misinterpreted as a like know-it-all American. Like, you know, those Americans that go to another country or even another part of the US, but anywhere, it's something that's completely different from what they're used to, and then they just kind of speak entitledly about where they're a visitor to. I want to make it clear that I in no way feel entitled to like speak poorly about any of these things. They're just literally things that were different for me. Like they just were or still are different for me. So I just want to put that out there. I'm not trying to be one of those people because things are just done differently in different parts of the world, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So the first thing that was like kind of a really big culture shock for me when I moved here was how early stores close. At least where I'm from, maybe it's different in small towns, but I'm from LA and like everything is open fairly late. For example, malls where I grew up close at 9 p.m. except Sundays, where they close at 6, maybe 7 if you're like at one of the fancier malls. But in general, they close at 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And that's just not a thing here. I'm speaking strictly for Montreal. I'm sure it's not just Montreal, but I can only speak to Montreal because that's where I've lived. But things just close earlier here. It changes depending what shopping center or mall you're looking at, but as a general rule, like things close at like 5 or 6 Monday through like Wednesday. I would say even Sunday. I don't really go out anymore to shop, but when I first moved here, I was going to stores all the time because I still didn't know like what to do. I still didn't know people. So I was hyper aware of how early everything closed, and it used to frustrate me so much because again, I didn't really know what to do with my time. Like window shopping or shopping was just kind of a go-to, I feel like, no matter where you travel to. And sometimes I wouldn't get the urge to leave the house until like an hour before closing, and I would forget every time. I'd be like, oh man, that's right, it's closed, dang it. And the only time that things are really open a little bit later, from what I remember, is like Thursday, Friday, and I think Saturday. Basically, if you work in retail, you can still have a life during the week. If you work at one of the little mom and pop shops in one of the shopping centers and it's a Tuesday evening, you can still go home and like spend time with your kids. That's how I had to reframe it in my mind, because in the US, in LA, if you work at the mall on a Tuesday in the night shift, you're closing at 9. If you got kids or a family. So when I understood like people can actually have a life here in Canada, it became a lot easier for me to, you know, be an adult and adapt my schedule to it, basically. So the next thing that was one of my early realizations was the serving sizes are smaller, which is something I like understood. Like the US has very large portions when you go out to eat, but like you don't really know what that means until your food is in your face and you're expecting something because of what you're used to. But man, the portions are just so much smaller, and not in a bad way. They're still filling, but just, you know, being in the US, you're kind of conditioned that this massive amount of food is all for you in one sitting. As someone who is a self-proclaimed eater, I love to eat, which works really well if you live in the US and go out dining, because so many places have very large portions. But when I came here, I still liked to fill myself to the brim, and I quickly learned that that just wasn't going to be a thing anymore, at least not like out in a restaurant for the same price, if you feel me. I remember I was sitting at Saint-Hubert, which is like a rotisserie chicken chain restaurant. I ordered just like a basic, I don't know, I think it was like a chicken thigh or something, and it was so small to me. I was like, it was like this small, which probably looks big on screen, but like I was expecting something probably like that big. And I was just like, oh wow, the serving sizes really are smaller. Okay, but now that I've been here for so long, I don't really experience that anymore. Overall, I feel like I've adapted to how small, I say how small like it's really nothing. I think I've adapted to the norm of the portion sizes here, because now when I go back home, I'm just like, wow, I am so full and there's plenty for my next meal, and I love leftovers, thank God. But that was just something that was really, when I first moved here, I was just like, yikes. Okay, so my next thing that was like very much a culture shock, and I think this one, sorry, I'm shaking the table. I think this one is very much cultural. The amount of trees and green spaces and parks in the middle of the city is mind-blowing to me, and it's great because I think everywhere needs, especially cities, need as many green spaces and parks and trees as possible. Again, this is all going to depend where you live in the world, but specifically where you live in the US. As a city girl, as a girl from Los Angeles, obviously there's palm trees and some trees here and there and a few parks here and there, but even the parks don't really have, like, some parks don't even have grass. Some of them, the grass has been worn down, or it's just like that rubbery turf thingy. I don't even know what you call it, but here it's like every corner there's a park. And it's great because nature is so necessary. And even though I'm not the hugest person on nature, mostly because I'm not a big fan of bugs, it's nice to, like, no matter where I go, if I want to chill, like, and picnic during the summer, or just enjoy, you know, the sounds of the birds. I'm saying things that I don't actually even enjoy. But like, if you want to be in a nature setting, it's not hard in Montreal. That is really hard in Southern California. But here you can look at the map on Google Maps and like see lots of little green pockets everywhere, and it's fantastic. Okay, and then my last and final, at least for now, maybe one day I'll do another video like this with more, but because there's more on the list, but they don't feel as important. So my last and final culture shock, and this I absolutely believe is a cultural thing, is that I have been in Montreal coming up on 8 years, okay? It's been 7.5 years. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's been a long time, and I have never, not once, seen a stray dog, ever. Not once, not a single time. I'm not saying they don't exist in Montreal. I'm just saying, in my almost decade here, and I don't have a car, I take the bus and metro everywhere, and up until the pandemic, I walked a lot, okay? I have never seen a stray dog in my life here. In LA, normal, completely normal. Completely normal. I can remember times of my high school years taking certain routes that were off my normal way to get wherever I needed to go to avoid a stray dog. All the time. It's like just very normal. I mean, obviously it depends what part of Southern California you're in, you know, closer to the beach, to the more upper class people's areas. Of course, you're probably not gonna find a stray dog. If you do, probably a lost dog with a fucking collar, and you call the number and someone lost their dog or some shit like that. But like where I grew up, South Central adjacent, walking distance to Skid Row, like there's stray dogs fucking everywhere, okay? And so I was used to that, and I have never seen a stray dog here ever in my life, ever. I think that's great. I think that's great. But it's also fascinating to me. It's very fascinating. People love their dogs here. They really do. I've seen stray cats, but I feel like that's normal kind of most places in the world. But stray dog, not once. So yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. I really love Montreal very much. It is close to my heart, and so I hope to bring more Montreal related content to y'all. If you're one of my friends watching my channel, one of my Montreal friends, or not, and you are not from here, I would love to hear something that was a culture shock for you, because as an American, I was surprised that there were culture shocks for me, because Canada and the US are so close to each other and there's so much that's similar, but there's also so much that's different, and I had to move here to really learn that. Even if you are from the US and you're, you know, here in Montreal, I would love to hear, but if you're outside of the US and you've lived in Montreal for any amount of time or visited or whatever, I would love to hear what was a culture shock for you. It would make my day. So please share it down below. I will respond. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to come back to you with more Montreal and ADHD content very soon. Until then, remember to live your best life, because life is too short not to live your best life. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.